There is a word Nigerians use for what Nyesom Wike did to Siminalayi Fubara. They call it godfatherism. But that word is too polite, too familiar, too Nigerian, in the way that makes us treat extraordinary things as ordinary. What happened in Rivers State between 2023 and 2026 was not politics as usual. It was a calculated, multi-stage operation to remove an elected governor from power without losing a single election. And the most dangerous part, it worked. By the time this video is over, you will understand exactly how it worked, step by step, institution by institution, from the Supreme Court to the APC Screening Committee, and why it matters to every single Nigerian, not just those in Port Harcourt. Because what was built in Rivers State was a blueprint, and blueprints get used again. If you're new here, Ninja Brief is the channel that gives Nigerians the political analysis mainstream media won't. Subscribe now and stay with me. This is the story they don't want told cleanly. In May 2023, Nyesom Wike handed Rivers State to Siminalayi Fubara. That sentence is important. He handed it. Fubara did not seize it, did not build for it, did not emerge from a contested primary. He was selected, funded, installed, and presented to Rivers people as the choice of the outgoing governor. In return, the unspoken agreement was simple. Wike would leave for Abuja as FCT minister. Fubara would govern, but the structures, the party machinery, the assembly majority, the LGA networks would remain Wike's. It was not a partnership, it was a franchise arrangement. Fubara had a different reading of his mandate. Within months of taking office, he began asserting independence, appointing his own people, building his own political alliances, refusing to root decisions through Abuja. Sources say Wike's demands went beyond politics. There were reported expectations about how state funds were managed and where contracts were directed. Fubara refused. That refusal was not a scandal. It was a governor doing what governors are supposed to do, govern. But to Wike, it was a betrayal. And Wike, as anyone who has watched Nigerian politics for more than 5 minutes knows, does not absorb betrayal quietly. He responded with everything he had. The operation against Fubara had 5 distinct phases, and understanding them is the only way to see what was really happening beneath the noise. Phase 1. Control the legislature. Wike's 27 loyalists in the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Martin Amayawule, initiated impeachment proceedings against Fubara in late 2023. The assembly building was damaged by fire. The 27 announced they were defecting from the PDP to the APC, a move that should, under Section 109 of the Constitution, have cost them their seats. Phase 2. Trigger the legal trap. Suits were filed in Abuja federal courts, not Port Harcourt, challenging the governor's legitimacy and the status of his assembly. Fubara's critical error, he withdrew his own legal processes that could have established the lawmaker's defection before a court had ruled on it. The Supreme Court used this against him in February 2025, ruling that he had failed to prove defection because he had abandoned the very processes that could have proved it. The 27 Amayawule lawmakers were declared the valid assembly. The CBN was ordered to freeze Rivers State's federal allocations. Phase 3. Make compliance impossible. When Fubara tried to comply, literally arriving at the assembly gates with the 2025 budget, the Amayawule faction adjourned indefinitely. They locked him out of the building he was court-ordered to enter. It was a trap with no exit. Phase 4. Trigger the emergency. On the 18th of March 2025, President Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. Fubara, his deputy, and all elected lawmakers were suspended for 6 months.
A retired vice admiral was installed as sole administrator. For half a year, Rivers State was governed by an unelected man with no legislator to check his spending, no opposition to question his decisions. And when the emergency ended in September 2025, Fubara returned, but on terms. The peace deal brokered by Tinubu reportedly required him to defect to the APC and agree not to seek re-election in 2027. In December 2025, he defected. In May 2026, he withdrew from the governorship primary. 5 phases, no election needed, an entire governorship dismantled through courts, emergency powers, and peace deals. When Fubara defected to the APC in December 2025, many thought it was a masterstroke. He was escaping Wike's stranglehold in the PDP. He was moving to the president's party. He was getting federal cover. He was walking into a second trap. Because Wike controls the APC in Rivers State, not Fubara, not Tinubu's Abuja handlers, Wike. Between late December 2025 and January 2026, Wike conducted a series of thank-you visits across Rivers communities: Obioakpo, Emuhwa, Ikwere, Port Harcourt City, the Ogoni Axis, and Okrika. They were framed as goodwill tours. They were political reconquest. At every stop, Wike was explicit. He declared his camp would correct the mistakes of 2023. He told crowds that power is not for dash. He told traditional rulers to stay out of partisan politics and let politicians play their game. In Okrika, the Rivers Ijaw People's Congress, a constituency Fubara needed for his ethnic and political base, publicly abandoned the governor and pledged allegiance to Wike. Their chairman described Fubara's assertion of independence as ingratitude towards the man who made him governor. And on a live media chat in May 2026, Wike was asked directly whether he had forced Fubara out of the 2027 race. His answer was a masterclass in political language. He said Fubara's withdrawal was consistent with understandings reached during reconciliation. He said Fubara ought not to have collected the form. He said those who expected otherwise were watching a movie that had already ended. The Godfather had given his verdict from outside Rivers State, from a federal office he was never elected to, about a governor who won 400,000 votes in 2023. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Fubara was outplayed, or was he betrayed by the system? I want to read your take before you hear mine. If you needed final proof that this was a coordinated operation and not just political competition, it arrived in May 2026 in the form of the APC's Rivers State House of Assembly screening results. Here is what happened. Ahead of the 2027 elections, the APC conducted a screening exercise for nearly 100 candidates seeking to contest House of Assembly seats in Rivers State. The committee cleared 33, it failed 65. That alone is remarkable. But look at the pattern. Of the 33 cleared candidates, 28 were sitting lawmakers, loyalists of Nyesom Wike. Every single pro-Wike candidate passed. Nearly every pro-Fubara candidate failed, often on minor grounds: typographical errors in affidavits, administrative technicalities, dues records. Fubara's allies called it a mathematical impossibility. One disqualified aspirant said he had met every stated requirement and paid every fee, and only learned of his disqualification through social media. Another noted that in previous election cycles, minor affidavit errors were routinely treated as rectifiable. In this exercise, they were used as career-ending grounds for exclusion. The result? Chioke Ihunwo, Fubara's ally, who had been positioned to challenge Amaihuele's speakership, was disqualified. The deputy speaker, Dumle Mao, a Wike loyalist, sailed through. A screening exercise had just reshaped the entire 2027 Rivers Assembly before a single vote was cast. This is what a completed operation looks like. Let us be precise about what we just described, because Nigerian media keeps calling it a political crisis, a rift, a feud. Those words are not wrong, but they are incomplete. What happened in Rivers State was the systematic dismantling of democratic accountability using every available legal and institutional tools: courts, emergency powers, party machinery, peace deal conditions, and screening committees in a coordinated sequence. No law was broken in a way that could not be defended. No single step was obviously unconstitutional in isolation. But the sequence and the outcome amounts to this. A man who won an election in 2023 will not be permitted to contest in 2027. Not because he failed, not because he was corrupt, but because he refused to be controlled. And here is the lesson that goes beyond Rivers State. If this playbook worked here, in Nigeria's most oil-rich state, with a governor who had genuine popular support, in front of the entire country, it will be studied and replicated. Godfathers across Nigeria are watching. Political parties at the federal level are watching. Every governorship candidate in 2027 who thinks that winning an election means winning power is watching. The question is, who else is watching? Civil society? The bar? You.
The man who ran this operation never lost an election in Rivers State during this entire period. He didn't need to. He had the assembly, he had the courts, or knew how to use them. He had the emergency rule. He had the party screening committee. He had the peace deal terms. Nyesom Wike did not defeat Siminalayi Fubara at the ballot box. He defeated him in every room where the ballot box was never opened. And the 8 million people of Rivers State, the nurse, the teacher, the market trader, the child who went to school during 6 months of emergency rule and wondered why their government was suspended, they will go to the polls in 2027 and vote. The question is, in Rivers State, in 2027, what will that vote actually mean? That question is not for Wike to answer. It is not for Fubara to answer. It is not for Tinubu to answer. It is for Nigerians to answer. Starting with you. Share this video with one person who needs to understand what godfatherism actually looks like in practice. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.